Alright, back on the race bike today. So, last night before I went in, I found some problem with rings. So, evidently, Wiseco is not using standard Harley ringless. Their oil ring is narrower. It's not 3/16, it's 158 thou, whatever the hell that is. So, when I went to replace the ring set that I had destroyed for this set of pistons, I found out that they were different. And I think the top rings are a little different too by a thou. You got 1.5 millimeter and you got a 16th, and there's only a thou and a half different. So I'm going to go ahead and take this piston off. I also measured the piston. It looks like this one might be collapsed a little bit. So I'll go ahead and pull that off so I can measure it better. And I'll determine what I can do on rings here. Because right now it looks like there's some issues involved with rings. Which is a problem. Because I do go through rings on my bike. Let's see, get that over here, you can see better. Alright, so these have a wire lock in here for a clip. So let's see if we can get this thing to pop out easily or not. I'm expecting to have to do a lot of work on the motor this time around, but yeah. Welcome to life. Things happen. Alright, so you can use a little small screwdriver, or you can use a pick like this to get underneath it. Use a small screwdriver to pop it out after that. Rotate the wire a little bit further past the edge so I can get to it better. Fuel lines are keeping me from going down too much, so it's making it harder actually to do this job than it should be. Not too much. Alright, ain't working. Can't get enough leverage. Oh, come on, I need something to put on the damn thing. That's too damn much. Just need a little something to get me up in the air. Nothing around when you need it, of course. That's ring boxes. Ring box might be what I need. Trick. There we go. These hoses are definitely in the way. Okay. Clip is now out. And these are reusable as long as they're still round. You can reuse them if they're not twisted. When they get out of round and twisted, they're no good. Oop, see that one's straight? It's still fairly round. This one's getting a little bit closed in. Now you can come back and go like that with a little bit. Put more bite back in it. Good to go. Still sits flat. That's all that matters. Let's see here. Should just push out, but want it just to slide out easy. Field motors will do that to pistons to make them tight. Because it warps them. Okay, so first thing is you look at your ring width here. See the gap between there. And you go over here and look at the gap on that one. See how that one's closer? That means it's actually collapsed a little bit. Not the best. Ring expander. So these are the rings I want to put on. Go over here, let's see over here better. So anyway, this pliers here, these are snap ring pliers for like automatic trannies use a style of clip. Something with a real heavy style tranny clip, that's what these are for. Not a regular eyelet style. So, we're going to open this up right there where the ring gap is. Pull it out. The gap's now a little bit wider because I opened it up. I spread it. Put tension back in the ring. It's good to go for again. Except this one was leaking. You look at the chrome face on it and look at how the wear pattern is on it. Either way, it was leaking quite a bit. It's just a square section ring, so it doesn't really matter which way you install it, but it was a certain way in there. A lot of times there's still marking up here in the rings where you can see it. A little dot or something, number. This one I'm not seeing it. The Wiseco's are pretty faint on their marks. So I can't tell exactly which way this one was run the first time. Obviously it wasn't working the second time too well. My caliper here appears to be off again. This caliper goes off all the time. So to reset the caliper, you have a reset right here. And 0 again. Okay, so this is the one I just took off. 61.5. 61. So this is the new one. 61, 61.5. This is the second ring. Here's the top one. Okay, so these seem to be the same size. 61. The real test is you put in a groove. If it fits in a groove nice and easy, you know, just a little bit of side play, but not a lot, you're good. Okay, so this appears to be okay. So this ring set will work. Now the problem is the O-ring expander is a lot narrower. See how fat this one is relative to the one that's in there? This is too fat. So that can be used in a pinch. Okay, so the dot was up on the second ring like it's supposed to be. It's worn across 100% of the face. Not quite 100% over here, but definitely 3/4 of a 80% of it for sure. Yeah. So it should have been working, but they weren't. Now the O-rings seem to be working halfway decent, but we're replacing those two. So this, you just take out one of the rails. I'm trying to get to come up, it's not letting me do it. Trying to hook up my thumbnail and move it up, but it keeps sliding. Not letting me, excuse me, not letting me bite into it. Sliding too much. There we go. Got to go up finally. Now the O-ring, you can just peel it around and go, but can't bite onto it, it's too thin. Too much oil in it. These little pair of pliers to get above the ring there. You just unroll it. You cannot put compression on rings by rolling them like this, but you can oil rings that are really, really thin. Pop it off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to measure this ring. Make sure it's the same as these new ones. So I'm going to measure the width of it first. 25 thou. 24 thou. 23 thou. Close enough. 23 and a half. 23. 24. Depends. These are worn. These calipers are worn out, so they're not 100% accurate, but close enough for what we're doing here. See, 23 there. 24 and a half there. The higher up you get, the bigger it gets. See how it varies a little bit. So, all right. So these are the same that way. The next thing that's almost as important is the radial depth. That's how much tension you have on the ring. So that looks to appear to be about 130 something thou. Measure this one. 134, 130, 128 down there. If you go up here in the high spot, it's 131, which is more accurate actually. So these are slightly thicker, 132. But that would work. So this has just a tick more oil, more tension on it than this one. We have to reuse this segment piece, but not the rail. Now technically the only rail that really does anything is the top one, because there's holes in the piston. The lower one just kind of scrapes the oil off the piston a little bit, not very much. And these things are just so thin to get a hold of them. They just keep sliding and sliding and sliding. All right. I saw the segments right here, so I'm going to get behind that segment piece. Nope, ain't going to let me do it either. There, I got a hold of the ring. There, got the reel out. I don't like having to use pliers on the rails, but just so little to grab a hold of, I can't get a hold of it. And it's full of oil. Tribodon is slick, so makes it hard to get off. Now you could take this ring and put it up on the top and reuse it. Now something I noticed about this ring is this thing is cupped shape. It's actually bent like this, which is not supposed to be. I've never seen a ring do that before. I don't know if that's just visually it looks that way or it actually is that way. Anyway, you can take that out of the lower ring, put it on the top ring, and it might work better than what you had. Okay, so this segment piece here, we're going to have to reuse. So see the difference in the two segment pieces? Quite a bit of difference. And that's because this has a metric ring set, unlike the Harley piston doesn't. It has a 3/16 O-ring. Okay. So I put my segment piece there, put my new ring over here. I'm going to take this and pull it to get over. Man, just can't get a hold of anything today. Okay, so now that one's over there. Got a gap here, next gap's going to go on the other side. It's going to go 180 over this side. Roll around and lift up and bring it down. Make sure that everything's nice and free in there. It is. There we go. Okay, new second ring. These have marks right here with the Mark 10, so they go on next. Interruption.